Hey, Coach Kirsten here, and I've been getting a ton of questions about tapering lately. The season is winding down, and athletes are wondering, when do I taper? How long do I taper? What do I do during my taper? And unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It is dependent on the following 6 things. Number 1, what the distance of your race is. If your race is longer, you're going to taper longer. If your race is shorter, you're going to taper for a shorter amount of time. The second thing it depends on is how important the race is to you. If this is an A race, if it's an important race, you're trying to qualify for a world championships, you're going to taper longer and more than if this was a local race that you just wanted to do with your friends, or a training race where you're seeing, testing out a new nutrition plan or a new piece of equipment. Then you're not going to be tapering as much and for as long. Number 3, it depends on how long you've been training. So if you've been training for the last 12 months and you're starting to get really burned out and your body is just getting overall really tired, you're going to taper sooner and taper more than if you just started training 2 months ago. And so your body's still pretty fresh. You still have some motivation. Number 4, it depends on if you are a high mileage person or low mileage person, like how much time a week that you train. So if you're somebody who trains 30 hours a week, you're going to probably start tapering sooner than somebody who trains 10 hours a week. And then number 5, it depends on how well you recover as a person. So if you're somebody who you recover really quickly because you're younger, you eat really well, you go to PT, you get a massage every day, or for whatever reason, you just recover more quickly, then you're not going to need to taper as soon as somebody who takes a longer time to recover. And then number 6, in my opinion, it really depends on your mental, physical, and emotional state and how you're feeling in all those areas. Because if you're my athlete and you say right now on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being horrible and 10 being amazing, you're like a 2 or 3 for physical, mental, and emotional, I'm gonna have you start tapering a little bit sooner so that you don't get sick, you don't get an overuse injury, you don't get burned out, you don't get depressed, frustrated, overwhelmed, stuff like that. So really take that into consideration. So those are the 6 things I take into consideration when I'm deciding when an athlete should start tapering and how their taper will look. If you want me to help you out with some guidelines on your specific situation, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to do that for you. In general, because there are some just kind of general guidelines for the average person doing the average amount of training. In general, for an Ironman distance, tapering about 3 weeks. For a half Ironman distance, tapering about 2 weeks. For an Olympic, maybe 7 to 10 days, depending on your training. For a sprint, a handful of days, 3 to 5 days, depending on your training. Those are some general guidelines. And then another general guideline is taper your running before that. The first thing you start tapering is your running, because it's the most impact on your body. Then your biking, then your swimming. So for example, if you want to run a marathon before your Ironman, I would recommend doing it 4 weeks out. And if you want to do a century ride or 120-mile bike ride before your Ironman, do it 3 weeks out. And then if you want to do a big power swim, like either 4,000 meter time trial or something that's harder on the upper body, maybe 7 to 10 days out. And overall, as you taper, you're decreasing your overall time or mileage that you're spending in each sport, but you're keeping the intensity at or above the same level. So for example, if you run a marathon 4 weeks out and you run a 10-minute pace, 3 weeks out, you might do an 18-mile run at maybe a 9:45, 9:30 pace. 2 weeks out, you drop it down, maybe do a 12-mile run at a 9-minute pace. And then a week out, drop it down, 6 miles at the most at, maybe a 10K or something at a higher intensity, faster pace. but it's not going to take as long to recover. So that's just an example. Like I said, it's pretty personalized. Those are some general guidelines, but I'd be happy to help you figure something out for yourself based on your answers to those 6 criteria that I use to determine my athlete's taper. So I hope that's helpful. I know it's not super specific because there's a lot that goes into that, but that's what I'm here for, to help you out. So let me know if you want some guidelines, and happy training, happy racing, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye.